Good morning, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm David Green. I'm one of the owners, one of the directors of CDML. CDML is Canada's largest independent nationwide commission consultancy. So I actually have no input into BIM at all. In fact, I know very little about BIM. What I do know is that how to commission and how to operate and maintain a building. And as you can see, I've got a huge portfolio of buildings I've commissioned around the world. And I'm very proud to be an Edmontonian to say that my organisation is the commissioning authority for the downtown arena here in Edmonton, one of the most fantastic, iconic buildings, I think, in North America that's going on at the moment. And hopefully over the next 40 minutes, you'll get to understand why we do what we do and why I am so passionate and why one day maybe I will be in Guy Ritchie's film as a thug. I am so passionate about the fact that we still use paper to hand over a building. Very short introduction to what CDML is. I'm a building commissioning consultancy. I occasionally do some energy work, and every so often I do digital information asset solutions for some people who are actually in the year 2014. My vision is this. I want to redefine how the property industry receives and uses its as-built information. Because as we all learnt yesterday, this thing comes from 1960. How do I do that? I do that three ways. I have a digital information asset system, I do digital training, and I have an outcome from those two that can create an as-built asset insight application. So, over the next 30 minutes, what are we going to learn? We're going to learn a little bit about digital information assets. We're going to learn that this microphone is really not the right height for me. We're going to learn about CDML Converge, which is our solution to this problem. I'm going to show you a little bit about portfolio, and then hopefully you're going to have a few questions for me. And one of them is going to be, can I repeat the past 30 minutes? Because I can guarantee 50% of you will not understand what I say. So here we go. I will try and be brief because I do have to say lunch really interests me. Here we are today. We live in a digital world. We have some fantastic buildings. There's actually one of my favourite buildings in the whole of Canada, and unfortunately is in Calgary. The Bow. What a fantastic structure. It's complex, it's energy efficient, it's data intensive, it's designed with energy models, lighting models, BIM, Revit. And ultimately, the operator of those buildings require really accurate information. Does anybody here think he gets accurate information? Oh dear, probably not. So what does he actually get? He gets something that looks a bit like this. This is actually one of my commissioning projects in Ontario. My guys go to this job, they speak to the building operator. Have you got any as-built drawings, they say? He thinks for a moment and says, come with me, come to this room, this secret room at the back of the establishment. And he takes them into this room and he points out in that big pile over there that this is his last set of as-built drawings. But it's okay, guys, you look honest, so I'll give them to you. I quite like that. My guys look honest, that's a prerequisite, that's really nice. But I've now got the only set of drawings to maintain that building. Is that correct? Is that not a disconnect? In my eyes, it is. So let's have a look at history. In the 1960s, we handed over buildings with paper. In the 1970s, in the 80s, in the 90s, even in the noughties. Even in 2012, until we came along with CDML Converge, are we still handing over buildings with paper? Yeah, all you guys in here are BIM and technical. And we do some great electronic work, and ultimately we give the guy who's going to maintain and operate that building this thing. That's really disconnected and retarded. So we take electronic information and we print it out. What a fantastic idea. Let's compare that to the mobile phone, or the phone even. In the 60s, my mum and dad still got a phone like that. But then they had a nice one, and then in the 80s and 90s came along mobile phone technology. And today we all have one of these, and I can talk to my mum and dad in London, England. Meanwhile, the guy operating this building still does it with paper. That's really not right, and that's a real disconnect for me. So what do standards and guidelines do for us? They actually do nothing. Because whilst there's lots of great documents that tell me what I should do, none of them tell me how to do it. So I can't even use guideline, regulation, to improve the situation. We've got a number of documents here from around the world. I've got ASHRAE, I've got LEED, I've got CIBSE in the UK, I've got BISRIA from the UK, but not one of them actually tells me how to create an O&M manual. So what's the outcome? The outcome is O&M manuals are disproportionate, they're disconnected, they're incomplete, and they're inaccurate. The best piece of documentation I can tell any one of you to create an O&M manual from is ASHRAE Guideline 4. There on the top left-hand corner. It is the only one of those documents that really tells you what should be in an O&M manual. That's wrong. This is year 2014. We should actually be using electronic solutions. But we should also have inputs to that manual that are useful. That file there of 25 really is just a bunch of as-built drawings and shop drawings and submittals. It has no value to the user, the operator, the owner of that building. A manual should have 3 inputs. Should have some coordinated documentation. At least make it look the same. We can't even get that right. We can't even make all the pages look the same. Yet I use a computer, even I at 48 years of age can make the pages look the same. There should be some systems manual, there should be some technical authoring. We should tell the people how the building operates, what to do in the event of an emergency. And basically we should make it interactive. We should give the operator information that he can use in the event of a problem. And also it should be all-encompassing. It should be multidiscipline. So what's my solution? My solution is this. I take Mr. 1960s and I bring him into 2014. I digitise information. I put it on an easy-to-use service offering that he can search. Basically, if you can turn on a computer and you can open up the internet and you can do a Google search, that's it, you're trained. I don't need a long training session. It was built that way specifically. And it can be served out on any platform. There it is on a USB key, there it is on an iPad. Why do we not do this then? Why am I still handing over buildings at this precise moment in the city of Edmonton using paper? My solution's interesting. If you want paper, at least make it the same. At least make all the binders the same colour. At least make the information look the same. There we go. Blue versus blue, green and red. But ultimately, we should make it digital. We live in a digital world. We live in a world where if something happens where I come from in London, England, instantly I get a message telling me something's happened. Yet meanwhile, we've got a building here that's complex and we're expecting a guy to maintain it with paper. It's disconnect. My ultimate nirvana is to have that as a web-hosted manual. Some of my more informed clients actually go that route because they like that. What is it? It's a browser-based system. It's a browser-based system deliberately because I'm not selling software. I'm a commissioning guy. I've got 30 years commissioning buildings. I've got no interest in selling software to anyone. But what I want to sell is better buildings. What I want to see is an improvement in building operation, building energy usage. So we can view any document on our service offering. AutoCAD, Word, Excel, photographs, videos. It's all about information asset management and the information commute that the building operator will have when he needs to fix that building in the event of an emergency. It's browser-based deliberately because it can be hosted on any device. It is agnostic. I use that Mac because I like it. I'm standing in a room full of Windows BIM buffs, right? Hell, I am the golden difficult child. But that doesn't mean I can't use my system, and it doesn't mean you can't either, because it's not software. It is browser-based deliberately, and it was chosen that way. Because you can see it can be hosted on anything. Hosted on the cloud's the ultimate nirvana. That means I can serve it out to anywhere in the world. So if you go on holiday, you can even maintain your building then. Here we go, there it is. There it is on a Mac, there it is on a USB key. PC. It's no different. The experience you receive on the machinery is no different. Android, iPad, Samsung Galaxy phone, Android tablet. That experience is really what it's all about for us. It's about giving the operator the ability to understand easily and quickly how to maintain that building. So why don't we do it? Can anybody tell me why? I'll tell you why, because most people think it's too expensive. I hear it said to me many times, oh, well, I put no value to manuals, there's no value. So it upset us a few weeks ago. So we went away and we thought about this. There's got to be a value to this thing, right? There's got to be a price that I can put on this 1960s technology, right? And it looks a bit like this. In material costs for a $60 million job, a recreation centre as an example, the O&M will cost the contractor something like $7,500 in paper, in hole punching, in folders, in those little divider things. So when they say there's no cost to it, they actually don't know themselves how much it costs, which is quite phenomenal, because I run a company, I know how much everything costs, down to the penny. So clearly these guys run a far bigger company than me and they really don't care. $7,500. So sometimes I pick up a spec and it says, we need 5 copies of the manual. So it's $35,000. And what happens to it? Well, it gets tossed in the corner, it gets coffee thrown on it, Fred takes it home because his kids need something to stand on, and it's lost. And it's actually out of date by the time he gets it anyway, because it's never actually updated. I want to leave you with that little line there, $7,500 in material cost. And do you know something? That's for those cheap binders there that are $6. The binder on the right-hand side, this one here, that the City of Edmonton use, is $80 a binder. So what's the consequence? There's none, because people don't know they're spending that money. But not only is there a cost financially, there is a cost to the environment. I'm pretty environment savvy, I'm pretty tech savvy, and it's quite scary if you look at this. 5 copies of an O&M manual is equivalent to a 153-foot high stack of paper. So I could build a building here in Edmonton and I could have a really high-rise building. I could build it out of paper and I'd look really cool. And I could take all the manuals and we'd look fantastic. But I could also take 4.8 cars off the road every year. I could improve the quality of the air that my children breathe, that my family breathes. I could plant 126 new trees. Or I could take all that toner ink and throw it in the landfill. So why do we do it? Why do we print paper? I just don't get it. Maybe I'm just a little old-fashioned. So there has to be some benefits between digital information assets and paper. I may be preaching to the converted here, but it's actually really simple. There is no cost premium for using the digital solution over traditional paper. It will not cost you any more. In fact, it will actually should cost you less. There is accuracy. I listened to a presentation yesterday and they were saying it's like 3 millimeters accuracy in some laser scanning. Oh, that's fantastic. So where's the accuracy in this manual? It's about as accurate as me getting the biggest hammer I can find and smacking the table. Yet we expect a guy to maintain a high-performance, sustainable building with paper manuals. It takes about 10 seconds to search on this thing for a piece of information. It can take you about 4 hours to walk around a large campus, find the room, find the requisite file, fix it, open it up, and then ultimately read it. What would you rather have? There is 0 storage costs. There is 0 licensing. I am not selling software. I am not a software guy. And ultimately, it's about disaster recovery. You get free information disaster recovery. This sounds amazing. I'm in the year 2014. I've come from 1960 and I've moved 54 years forward. So I'm going to show you. Hopefully this will work, because my friend Alex over there and I worked hard this morning doing this. Here we go. A demonstration of the system. So all I need to do is make my mouse work and we'll be okay. Oh, this is not going well then, really, is it? But see, I can fix this because this is the age of Macintosh, right? There we go. Here it is. CDML Converge. North America's only web-based digital asset management system. And I can say that proudly. And I'll tell you why at the end of the presentation. It's easy to operate. It's like opening up your browser. I can search for anything I want to. I need to move this window around, of course, to actually get to the buttons, but hey, that's just life for me. I'll use elevator as an example. Elevator O&M. There it is. Within seconds, I can see the elevator O&M manual. I haven't actually had to leave the point where the elevator has failed to get access to that information. Meanwhile, Fred's running around the building, running down the stairs because the elevator's failed, and eventually he'll get to the room that holds those manuals. There's a big delay here. This could cost someone their life. Hey, that's just me being a little flippant. My view of O&Ms is this. There should be a system description. We should actually tell people what it is, how it works, what does it do, what does it interact with. We should give you some seasonal shutdown. We should actually tell you how to maintain it. If I take my car to Ford, I'd like to think that they use this. They look up my car, they type it in, and off they go to fix it. I'd hate to think they run into a room about the size of this and pick out a manual from about 4,000. The car industry is a great parallel for the construction and property industry. And maybe we need to learn something. We should also put PPM. If people know when they need to maintain that building, they might actually maintain it. I know that's a scary thought. And maybe that's something to consider. And ultimately, we should put some spares. If we tell them what spares you need to hold, it might actually be fixed quicker. And that's really interesting. So hopefully I'm working this backwards here, so this is going to be fun. Project information. The municipal permit. I went to one of my clients a few weeks ago and he laughingly said to me, Dave, why do I need the municipal permit? And the lady sitting with him, banging him on the shoulder like this. Scott, don't you remember? And I could hear her say, do you remember the city asked us to produce the permit the other week for the building over there and we couldn't do it because we didn't have one? Oh yeah, Dave, you're right. Maybe we need the municipal permit. The substantial completion letter. Maybe the client would like to know when the job was actually given substantial completion. Really, this is information he should get, but does he? No, he gets a pile of shop drawings and a pile of submittals. It's about a repository of as-built information. It's about cradle to grave. My view of construction is this. I construct something from the cradle and I knock it down at the grave. Do we give the building owner that right to look at that information? No. It's about drawings. Wow, we all love drawings in this industry. That's why we're all here, isn't it? Because we're trying to make drawings better, trying to make things better. So I can actually open up drawings in this thing here. I can open them up in 3 formats. Unfortunately, because I do choose to use the Apple world, I can't open them up as AutoCAD on my machine. But I'll show you on the tablet that they do work. There's a PDF. Within seconds, I've got access to that drawing. I can actually see how to fix or maintain that piece of equipment. There's also JPEGs. Some of my more advanced clients want that JPEG to load very quickly because they're on a very slow internet connection. They have it served out to them. It's about knowledge exchange, though. Having a manual, having a system, is about information exchange. You might have a high turnover of maintenance guys. How do you train them? Most people train them like this. They give them that manual, they throw it in the corner, and they basically play around with the system until they think it works properly. If we actually gave them the tools to train them, you get a better outcome. Because coming from commissioning is about outcomes. So 3 years ago, when I came to here, to the City of Edmonton, to show them this work in progress, they said to me, Dave, this is great, but, that 3-letter word that I don't really like. Where can we put these training videos? So you can even access your training video from the system. And in theory, it should run. There we go. And unfortunately, you'll hear another man with an accent like mine because he's one of my directors and he works for us. But this is about giving the guys who have to fix the system the information at the point of usage. This isn't about running around the building, printing out paper and being in 1960. This is about being in 2014. It's simple. Yeah, I am North America's only provider of this sort of system, this sort of service. So here I am, on an Apple machine in a Windows exhibition, showing you a video on a piece of software that's agnostic. Fantastic. It's also about maintaining. It's about commissioning. What we've learned through commissioning is if you can return the building to its commissioned state, you can actually fix 85% of issues. The trouble is most people don't actually know what the commissioned state was because they never got that information. Because funny enough, it doesn't go into that big folder from 1960. So there we go, the TAB report, the TAB, Testing, Adjusting and Balancing Report. Fantastic. But it's not just a PDF in a browser window. You can actually open that up as a PDF and you can search it. You can print it. You can email it to your friend over there and you can do some modifications and save it to your own desktop. You cannot save that back into the system because it's a repository of as-built information. So it should always stay as a repository. Yes, it can be updated at a later date, but surely keeping that as-built information is really the baseline for any form of future remedial or commissioning work. This is probably my most difficult bit of the day, so let's shut this down. So why don't we do this then? Why don't, in 2014, oh no, please don't crash on me. Why don't we do this? This is interesting. Normally I get construction guys saying to me, yeah, but it costs too much money, it's really nice, why don't you do it? We can't afford it. 0.05% of the total construction cost. That's actually less than that paper manual. Existing buildings, we're actually doing it as a pay-as-you-go. I can do it as a service, as a subscription, not software, because ultimately I'm a fee-for-service organisation. I can do it for zero cost premium. I can produce that for the same money or less than that paper binder. Yet this will be far better to use. There is some competitors out there, but they're really all new construction projects. And they can't use a tablet. They're all about having a person sit there and sell you software and sell you monthly licensing fees. I don't want to do that. I'm not Microsoft. Heck, I'd like to be Bill Gates, but I'm not. What I'm about is this. I'm about improving your information commute. On average, it takes 7 minutes or $7.32 to retrieve a document if it's stored in the same office. If it's stored on a campus somewhere, that's 128 bucks. Potentially there is thousands of dollars that are wasted every day of the week in North America with people running around buildings looking for information. 4 seconds on that tablet to find information. 4 seconds could save someone's life. I spoke about archiving and storage and data recovery. Last year in Calgary there was a huge flood. I've been talking to a number of clients in Calgary and they lost a lot of information that cannot be replaced. Having that digital is free archiving. It's free storage and free disaster recovery. If you haven't got your paper asset backed up digitally, what is going to happen if your document room floods? Potentially you will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to recreate documents that are lost. Why do we use paper then? Return on investment metrics. People go, well, yeah, you can't prove that you're going to save me money. I only need to tell you that I can save you approximately $500,000 over a 25-year life cycle of a building because you won't have your operator wandering around looking for paper that his friend has taken home. What about if you lose it? How do you replace it? It's scary that today, in the year 2014, we still use paper to hand over a building. I'm going to tell you some statistics about information assets in North America, and there I only really need to read one of these out because I'm not here to read slides. Paper waste accounts for 40% or 71.6 million tonnes of paper in the US alone, and there are over 4 trillion paper documents in North America growing at a rate of 22% per year. So basically what that means is probably in the next 10 years we're going to be engulfed with paper. So we won't have a climate change issue, we'll have a paper change issue. Scary when you start thinking about it. And yet everybody in the outside world thinks construction is on the verge of technology. Here we are, you know, I have friends work in every industry. They think I'm great. Wow, construction looks very technical. Yeah, right, you are so deluded. Construction's about as technical as me taking a hammer and smacking a table. And why? Because there's no consequences to change. There's no consequences to anyone if we do it the same as we've always done it. Everybody is very resistive to change and everybody's very uncomfortable with it. I don't need to tell you that, no, because you're BIM guys and you probably have just as bad a time as I do. Ultimately, you might have a number of buildings. I don't want to give you 15 tablets. Crikey, that becomes a nightmare. So there's what's called a portfolio version. A portfolio of buildings can be put onto one tablet to enable the maintenance team to look at them as they go to fix issues. It's easy when you start thinking about it. The outcome of this whole situation is this. If I make information digital, I can actually help out in the event of a problem by putting one of those really simple sticky QR codes on a piece of mission critical equipment. And by scanning it with a QR code reader, I can give the guy who's got to fix that some information that could save someone's life in the event of a failure in a hospital, for example. You don't get that with a bit of paper. What you get is a headache running around and then you throw it on the floor and the next thing you know it's lost. It's interesting. When you start thinking about the way construction works, we aren't really on the verge of technology. We're actually pretty backward and we're pretty retarded in a lot of the things we do. Meanwhile, Google can send a little car around and take pictures of everywhere and put it on the internet and we can't even get a building right. Scary. So over the last 30 minutes, we've seen a number of things. One, we've seen that Apple and Microsoft do not integrate very well. We've also learned a little bit about digital information assets. We've learned that there is a solution to your problem. And you've learned that I've got a funny accent, which is quite cool. Way back, I did tell you I was really proud of this. And I am. I may not be a Canadian, but it still doesn't mean that I'm not proud of this. Earlier in the year, there was an award run by the Canadian government in conjunction with the UK government. CDML Converge is a 100% developed in Canada product. I keep Canadians in work every day of the week, in other words. We were nominated as one of the 5 recipients for that award that was handed out at EcoBuild in London. What that meant was me, as little CDML here, got to play in the Premier League, in the Big Boys League, with the Edmonton Oilers. I don't often get that chance. I am really proud of that. Trust me, I get little hairs on the back of my neck stand up when I talk about it, because it's something to be proud of. I never thought in my 30 years I'd have something like this. And it's a fantastic achievement for us. There you go. The information assets when you want them, where you want them. The whole building in the palm of your hand. Hang on, wait a minute, let me pick up that file. Oh. Do you think I could stand here with 25 of these? No. But I've got a whole building in the palm of my hand here. So why do we not really find paper assets? Why do we not create a smarter building? Thank you very much. I've tried to deliberately finish this early because I am aware it is lunchtime. So thank you for watching, and you can keep clapping, but please ask me any questions, because it's not often you're going to get to talk to me, especially with my funny accent.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Genevieve, and I work with Westcorp. We're one of the real estate developers here in Edmonton. And so my question for you is this. You have a whole bunch of people in the audience that work for construction companies.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, we know that the money to pay for something like your product generally is driven by the owner.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these contractors that are in this room are bidding on the projects that people like the company that I work for, they're building.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, how does delivering your speech to these construction companies, what's the intent? So
the intent is to make you think about it.
It is to make it think about it, but how can you basically convince the construction, or how can how can you convince the construction companies to then put it in their responses to the RFPs to basically say to the owner, this is what you want, right? And then at the same time, when it comes to commissioning and things like that, we know that there's always a 10% holdback for the O&M manuals in the end. So how are you making the contractors' lives easier?
So there's a number of ways I can do that. I can actually take the whole pain of O&M manuals away from the contractor. So if you top down that from clients, I can go and tell the client how to do the O&M, take the O&M away from the contractor and give it to a third party. So why do I do third party commissioning? Is because the owner demands advocacy and independence. If you think of manuals in line with commissioning, why did we get the construction team to do it? No disrespect, guys, you're not interested in it, there's no money in it, and you're not going to do a great job. You're just going to give it to the intern who's going to pound it out, which is why I've got that. If you give it to a third-party company, maybe you get a better outcome, because really commissioning a manual is about outcomes. So to take your point, why do I come and do this? Why do I come and do this? Because I want to get my name out there, one. I want you to remember, but I want you to remember that the City of Edmonton use this. So the next time you bid a City of Edmonton job, you might think, hang on, that bloke with a funny accent did that presentation, and this is what he was talking about. So the City of Edmonton use that product at Clairview, Meadows, Commonwealth and Terwilliger Rec Centres. Their facilities guys use it. Now I bet you if I went to the construction team, they don't know that we took that paper and digitised it into that really cool looking wrapper.
So are you the one that's going to be chasing the sub-trades for all of their shop drawings and things that are going to be going into the O&M manuals?
Why do I need to chase the sub-trades? It's on an FTP site. I'll just give me access. I can do it. I can do it on behalf of the client and I can give a better outcome.
Okay, so next, from the owner's operation and maintenance side of things, one of the things that we see in our buildings is that there's a high amount of turnover for the maintenance people.
Yep.
So with that being said, the people that actually hire the maintenance guys are the property managers,
Yep.
okay? And you'll often see in any company that the people that head the companies or the people that might be a property manager know they have a maintenance guy and they know that the maintenance guy is taking care of the building, but they don't actually know what the maintenance guy does.
That's right, because they're an accountant.
So if the maintenance guy leaves and you have a new maintenance guy that comes on and the new maintenance guy comes on and he's used to using the manuals and he sees some kind of technology or the tablet gets lost or something like that, how is it conveyed to that guy that this technology exists? So,
okay, so I can tell you a little story. I do this for GWL Property in Toronto. One of their buildings is run by a 64-year-old Scotsman. Now, trust me, if I thought I was going to have a problem, it's going to be with him. Out of all of the people that we do this for, he is the most open to it. He appreciates it as a solution to what he perceives as a major issue. A few weeks ago, I got an email from him. Dave, can you help me out? Can you phone this guy and explain to him what Converge is? I have tried and I have told him it is a really great solution for me to the problem of paper, but he doesn't get it. So there we go, 64-year-old Scotsman who probably majority of his life has used hand tools to fix stuff. Suddenly he's walking around with a tablet telling me it's a great solution because I don't need to train him. If you can turn on a computer, you can open the internet and you can do a search. You're trained, one. If you've got new people coming in, so those training videos are actually knowledge information interchange at that point. So you can actually train your guys by getting them to watch the videos. So it's a twofold attack really. It's about helping people like yourselves improve the quality of your maintenance and operation and also reducing your paper. Because I'll tell you, if you lose that tablet, I can just give you another one. If you lose that paper manual, chances are that's it, it's gone.
So are we going to continually pay for you to store the information for our O&M manuals?
Maybe that's a discussion we have to have outside of this forum.
Thank you.
Justin, I'm at 1 minute to go, so that was about the best I could do, mate. If anybody wants to come and play with this, please come and see me in the exhibitor hall at table 3. In fact, you can come and talk to me now, because I will give it to you and you can play with it and see how easy it is to use. And I've got my 3-year-old son in there, and I bet you he could use it. Thanks, John.
Thanks, David.